Botulism outbreak strikes Northern California. A mother of 3 is lying paralyzed in hospital with her life in the balance after eating contaminated nacho cheese sauce. 33-year-old Lavinia Kelly is one of 5 confirmed cases of botulism linked to patients who ate at the Valley Oak Food and Fuel gas station in Sacramento. Foodborne botulism usually occurs in foods that are improperly stored or prepared. Botulism spores exist in the environment. In the absence of oxygen, the spores grow into bacteria that excrete toxins. According to the World Health Organization, botulinum toxins are one of the most lethal substances known. Symptoms usually occur within 12 to 36 hours after exposure, with fatigue, weakness, and vertigo often followed by blurred vision and difficulty speaking. The toxins affect the nervous system and cause paralysis. Vomiting or diarrhea are common, and the disease can cause weakness in the muscles. Lavinia Kelly was driving home on April 21st when she pulled over to the gas station, bought a bag of Doritos, and poured nacho cheese sauce over the chips. The next day, Kelly was admitted to intensive care, where she remains more than 4 weeks later. Officials in Sacramento said there were 4 more potential cases linked to the nacho cheese sauce, which would bring the total to 9. On Tuesday, Kelly's family filed a lawsuit against the gas station for negligence. Say no to safe spaces on YouTube. Support TomoNews at patreon.com/TomoNews. If you're eating right now, it might be a good idea to hit pause.
Chipotle E. coli outbreak infects 39. United States health officials are investigating the cause of a toxic bacterial outbreak traced to Chipotle restaurants that has infected 39 people and hospitalized 14. A strain of E. coli has infected 29 people in Washington state and 10 in Oregon state. The strain has been identified as E. coli 026. This strain is less dangerous than others, such as the 0157H7 strain that killed 4 children in the 1990s. Health officials suspect the latest outbreak in Chipotle restaurants came from contaminated fresh produce, but are still trying to find its source. The 026 strain produces Shiga toxin, which causes illness 3 to 4 days after consumption. People usually develop stomach cramps or diarrhea. However, some may develop more severe symptoms, leading to a type of kidney failure called hemolytic uremic syndrome, or HUS. Symptoms for HUS include unexplained bruises or bleeding from the nose and mouth, as well as fatigue and fever. Meanwhile, Chipotle has voluntarily closed all of its Washington restaurants and some in Oregon, but the outbreak doesn't seem to be bothering many online. Asherina says she would die happily if it were while eating Chipotle, while Noelle says that it would take more than a little E. coli to stop her eating at Chipotle. And Amanda A. says that having just read about people contracting E. coli, she's now hungry for some Chipotle. But what about you guys? Would a potentially killer bacterial outbreak stop you from eating at your favorite restaurant?
Chipotle, bringing the freshest E. coli and norovirus to Americans everywhere. For months, Chipotle has been adding a new ingredient to its Mexican cuisine, E. coli, and Americans seem to love it. But with tough competition from traditional Mexican chain Taco Bell, Chipotle has decided to mix things up by adding norovirus to the menu. "80 Boston college students have been experiencing serious bouts of vomiting and explosive diarrhea after eating at the Cleveland Circle Chipotle. The students are being tested for E. coli and norovirus, both of which can cause upchuck and severe runs. Chipotle has been struggling with an E. coli outbreak, which has sickened 52 people in 9 states and battered the burrito chain's sales and stock price. But since Americans are too lazy to cook for themselves, a little E. coli or norovirus won't stop them from eating there. Chipotle is enhancing its food safety measures with DNA-based tests, end-of-shelf-life testing, and additional internal training. What it should be doing is just changing up its marketing. Looking for a quick cleanse or a way to shed some pounds? Head over to Chipotle.
Arriba, arriba, ándale, ándale!
ISIS soldiers die after breaking Ramadan fast. On July 7, 45 ISIS militants died from food poisoning after feasting on Ramadan fast-breaking meals in Mosul, Iraq, according to a report by Israeli newspaper Haaretz. Ramadan is a holy month for spiritual reflection and fasting for Muslims. Iftar is the evening meal that breaks the fasting period. Shortly after ingesting food, some ISIS militants started showing symptoms of food poisoning that eventually led to their deaths. It was not clear if it was a case of food poisoning or sabotage, but 45 militants were reported to have died, and this was not the only such incident. In November 2014, dozens of ISIS militants died of food poisoning after Free Syrian Army revolutionaries infiltrated their camp and disguised themselves as cooks. The Syrian Observatory for Human Rights also reported on July 7 that Kurdish fighters have reclaimed several villages formerly occupied by ISIS. However, The Independent and other news sources questioned the reliability of these reports and recommended the news be taken with a grain of salt. Who knows, it may be something out of The Art of War by Sun Tzu, who wrote, "All warfare is based on deception."
Say no to safe spaces on YouTube. Support TomoNews at patreon.com/TomoNews.
College co-ed arrested for poisoning roomies' food. Annoying college roommates are the worst. And what better way to get back at them than spitting in their food and dumping glass cleaner on their leftovers? That's what 22-year-old Haley King did. Unfortunately for her, it was caught on camera by her roommates. King's two roommates had issues with her, and so they set up the hidden camera to see what she was up to when they weren't around. Footage shows King taking food containers out of the fridge and spitting in them. Cut to about 5 minutes later, and King is back in the fridge, but this time she takes out some Windex and sprays it into the food. That wasn't a strong enough flavor for King, so she proceeds to drizzle some of the cleaning fluid into the food as a marinade. Then she comes back for round 3 to add a little spit glaze to last night's leftovers. The University of South Carolina student has been arrested, and she reportedly confessed to the charges of unlawful malicious tampering with human drug product or food.
Gross photo shows why dogs should not eat chocolate. What we are about to show is really, really gross. So if you don't want to see what happens when a dog eats too much chocolate, click away now. This is Sophia, a boxer who made an animal hospital in Virginia look like a scene from The Exorcist after eating too much chocolate. Sophia's problem started last holiday season when she and an unnamed canine partner in crime helped themselves to more than a kilo of chocolate left under the Christmas tree by owner Daisy Roja. Chocolate contains a stimulant called theobromine that is toxic to dogs. It can affect the heart, kidneys, and central nervous system. Dogs who eat too much chocolate can die. At best, they'll suffer symptoms including diarrhea, seizures, and vomiting. The darker the chocolate, the more theobromine it contains. Doses of around 100 milligrams per kilogram of body weight are toxic to dogs. Sophia and the other dog were rushed to an animal hospital for treatment, suffering from vomiting and high heart rates. After chucking up another chocolate fountain, the dogs were fed activated charcoal to stop the toxins from being absorbed and given intravenous fluids. The animal hospital released the pooch puke photo on social media to warn owners not to feed their dogs chocolate this festive season. Sophia and her friend survived death by chocolate and made a full recovery from the incident.